He's a Northeast Ohio guy. You see him on the Browns games in the preseason. He's Mr. Chris Rose. Hello, Chris.
Are we starting off by talking about the mighty Miami Redhawk today?
The undefeated Miami Redhawks?
I mean, come on. Let's go.
Congratulations.
Well, you don't congratulate us till we make a tournament. Don't worry, there's plenty of knuckleheads in the NCAA could screw you over, even if you have a great regular season in the MAC.
Well, now,
sorry, you didn't win the tournament.
Isn't that a fact?
Yep. There's plenty of those people out there.
Absolutely, and we've seen it year after year in the Mid-American Conference. But
I thought we were going to talk about the big Guardians trade that just went down.
What did we end up getting? Let me guess, another relief pitcher?
Yeah. Actually, you're all sarcasm aside, Chris, you're right. Franklin Gomez from the Mets for international bonus pool money. Get your playoff tickets now.
Got to have somebody.
Played in high A last year. Pitched pretty well.
Okay. There you go. Well, it's all made up of arms. So
Isn't
can't
that
wait
the
for
truth?
that 667 OPS to keep showing up as a team. It'll be awesome.
Can't wait to talk baseball with you once there's a head coach in Cleveland and everywhere else in the National Football League. John Harbaugh, first domino, looks like he's going to the Giants. It seemed like a no-brainer when he was suddenly made available. But what do you think about Harbaugh to New York?
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't he, right? They've got they seemingly have a quarterback. I mean, we've seen guys have really solid first years and then fall off, but at least I think they've got somebody that they like. They have a very, very good left tackle, and their offensive line doesn't suck. They've got a one receiver. They've got a good running game. They've got guys that can get to the passer defensively. So there's a lot for him to like. Stable ownership. And he's already lapped the rest of the coaches in terms of NFL acumen in that division. I mean, it's he's got a one lap head start on the rest of those guys. So I think it's a great fit for him and doesn't surprise me. And I think it's helpful that the first domino has fallen.
Chris,
I agree with that.
Yeah, of the 9 openings, Kevin Stefanski has interviewed or will interview for 7 of them, not including the team that fired him.
And not Arizona.
Will the Browns regret firing Kevin Stefanski as you look at the candidate pool to replace him?
I don't know if regret is the right word. I think they could have continued on with Kevin, to be honest with you, because I think that there's still another year left in this cycle to have to get through, minimum, because you're not going to find a quarterback this offseason that will change the room. In fact, it wouldn't shock me if the 3 guys that, end the year are the ones that are there to start out with. And I'm talking about Deshaun Watson, obviously. Bailey Zappi has now moved on to greener pastures, folks. So if you bought that
I'm gonna miss that 51% completion percentage he had.
Wow.
Oh, don't worry. There's other guys that can do that here.
Where's the rim shot, Dan?
Yeah. So there you go. It's I think they could have stuck with him and seen if they could all bail water out of the boat together. I still feel like this team can make big moves, but it means that Andrew Berry's going to have to hit it out of the park again. There are plenty of linemen for them, and I seemingly talk about this every week, but I think out of their first 3 picks, which are all in the top 40, they've got to get 2 starting linemen out of it, and I think they could easily do that. Now, how good are these guys going to be? Who knows? But I think those are the swings they've got to take, and then you just hope that whether it's Shador or Deshaun, that you're not closing your eyes and saying, please help me when the quarterback drops back.
Chris, given the state of the offense, and you just said 2 offensive linemen, we know wide receivers, we need quarterback, the whole thing. Does this situation to you scream one type of coach more than another, a guy with experience as opposed to a young coordinator who's never done it? Or do you think it not matters as long as they find a guy who ends up being a good head coach?
Well, okay, so, some people want leaders. I want leaders, right? We've got that in the playoffs.
I'm tired of hearing leaders of men, aren't you?
Yeah, it drives me nuts.
Yep, me too.
Right? Because how are you supposed to know what a leader of men is when you've never set foot in a locker room? That's 99% of the people that are entitled to an opinion. I mean, every fan is entitled to opinion, just like the three of us are. So when they say, "Well, I want a leader of men," okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'll go to the leader of men store and go shopping for that one. Right, but if you look at the last 8, we've got all across the board, right? You've got the Mike Vrabels of the world. You've got 4 offensive-minded coaches. You've got 4 guys that are better known for their defense. You've got some quieter guys that maybe that aren't screaming at the top of their lungs. You've got guys who are offensive geniuses, but also leader of men, like a Sean McVay and seemingly like a Kyle Shanahan. Like it's all over the place. And so I don't think kind of coach is what you're looking for here. I mean, I think that's where you kind of get into trouble a little bit. Now, it might be, we're interviewing some guys, one guy that's 30 and one guy that's in his mid-30s, and it feels young and it feels early maybe for those guys. But at the same time, you don't know what they're going to grow into. You just don't. And with any sort of guy even if he's in his 40s, does that automatically make him a better leader of men just because he's been around them more? No, doesn't necessarily.
Do you have a favorite of these dozen guys that have been tied to the Browns? Is there someone that you're just really excited about?
No, because I'm not going to sit here like some media people in town and pretend to say that I know them. I don't. And nobody who's commenting on them really knows them very well, outside of the guys that were in the building this year, right?
Yeah.
They know Jim Schwartz and Tommy Rees. If you think Udinski, you don't. Like most of us didn't even know his name until we all saw the social media clip that went around this week where he was explaining offense.
Chris, I'm Googling pronunciation guides for some of these guys to make sure I'm saying their name correctly.
That's okay, because that's what happens some years. There aren't Mike Vrabels and Ben Johnsons available like there were last year in the coaching cycle. So I don't know what to tell people. I will get behind whomever they choose. Obviously, like if a Mike McDaniel gets picked, that's going to be hard for us to all swallow, because we've all seen what's happened the last 4 years, right? We've seen the press conferences where he is so bright and so intelligent, but so different. And you're like, well, we can't have that, because who's going to listen to him, right? And other than that, I just want him to pick a guy so he could pick a staff, to be honest with you. That's what I'd like.
I agree with you on that. Chris Rose is joining us from the NFL Network. I know you and I are probably higher on Mike McCarthy than most, and his name is not out there a whole lot. Interviewed with the Giants.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is a situation where, all right, 5-6 teams have hired a coach, and all of a sudden the others are going, wait a minute. And then all of a sudden a guy like Mike McCarthy becomes an extremely viable option for somebody.
Yeah, I think it'd be smart to interview Mike McCarthy. I mean, why wouldn't you?
I do too.
Right? How many other guys are going to interview for jobs that have won Super Bowls and multiple division titles and know what it's like to work for different types of owners, or in Green Bay's case, no owner? Like, he's kind of run the gamut over here. And then once again, he sat out another year. And, maybe he's a little bit more refreshed again, ready to get going. I don't think he's a bad choice. I really don't. I never heard a ton of bad stuff about Mike McCarthy when I was, out calling games or talking to people. It doesn't feel like a wow. And in fact, I mentioned it last week that I'd rather have Harbaugh than McCarthy. And somebody shot back in my mentions and they said, well, look at the numbers. And the numbers are nearly identical. I can't tell you. I just feel a little bit better about John Harbaugh than I do Mike McCarthy. But, yeah, when you look at the numbers, they're pretty comparable.
I wonder if he ends up landing somewhere late in this cycle. We'll see about that.
It's It's possible. By the way, somebody else said, well, Mike McCarthy never won anything without a great quarterback. I'm like, oh, breaking news. Really good quarterback equates to wins at the NFL level. News at 11. Like, come on, gang. Yeah, I hear you. You know? Like, who's the best quarterback that didn't win anything? I mean, if you have a great quarterback, you're going to win games, and most likely some playoff games, and who knows, maybe even a Super Bowl.
It's an interesting concept you throw out there, Mr. Rose.
Yep.
And no shock, the Browns haven't won anything in 4 decades because they haven't had a great quarterback in 4 decades.
No, we're still looking, and I'll be curious to see how it all plays out. I think I have mentally gotten to the point where it's going to be Shador, Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel. They might make one change, if the new coach has a favorite somewhere out there and says, hey, I can't deal with this or that or the other thing. Like, well, we know Deshaun's not going anywhere because of the money.
Right.
But maybe it's the Sanders versus Gabriel thing. He just doesn't want to deal. I don't know. But I've kind of set my football brain to know that that's what we're moving forward with and trying to figure out how it could work.
Jim Schwartz interviewed with the Ravens. What do you think happens with him?
That's a tough one. It really is, Daryl, because on one hand, like if one of these young offensive guys comes in, does he have enough? Here's the one worry with them. Does he have enough lineage in this game to field a full staff? I mean, that is a legitimate concern, I think, when a guy hasn't been at this level for a real long time. And so maybe it does work to keep Jim and most of his defensive staff, if not all of it. But if it's a guy who has been around a little bit and has a coaching tree available to him, it's probably not going to work. And I've mentioned this, I think, last week's show, that if Jim does not get the head coaching job, how does that make him feel? I mean,
exactly
I think
right.
It's the one part. Yep. It's the one part of the equation we haven't really factored. He might be okay with it. He might say, hey, at 60 years old, like, I'm good. I get it. Maybe it'd be cool to be the lead guy, but the Haslam's treat me really well here. We've got a stud defense. We got a 2-time defensive player of the year. I want to be part of the team that helps this young person get to where we think he can get himself and the team to. I don't know what he's thinking. So that's a tough one to answer.
Chris Rose joining us from the NFL Network. And again, Saturday, Sunday after the playoff games, go watch Chris on the NFL Network and you'll get everything you need to know about what happened in those games. You mentioned the 3 quarterbacks who are here being the guys perhaps next year. Interesting. At the 11 o'clock hour, we talked about that, and I threw that out there, and I said, with NIL now bringing guys back in college who probably would have come out before, and Dante Moore obviously is the guy who we're thinking about here most recently, just 20 years old. In the past, Chris, those guys might have come out because there's a payday. Well, now they're getting paid. They can go back, get another year of seasoning. I think it's a great thing for the NFL because it might eliminate mistakes or throwing a guy out there way too early or whatever. But I also think it kicks it down the road for the Browns a year, perhaps to 2027, when a lot more guys who, like, for instance, Lenora Sellers, Arch Manning, they both went back. Moore went back. It's a much deeper draft class. Could this team roll with it for a year with the 3 guys they have, or maybe try some short-term answer? Because I think they could, and I think the NIL has done a lot of teams a favor in that regard.
Okay, so let's get a few things very clear. Dante Moore does have a wonderful opportunity. I haven't seen what he's going back for, but I imagine it's $5 or $6 million.
Yeah. Can you even imagine? Good Lord.
Hey, good. I mean, good for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. There's a couple ways to look at it for him. We are going based on the assumption that he's either going to get better or stay exactly where he is and not get worse, which happened to Matt Barkley. Now, he didn't have NIL, but he went back to school and he fell. He fell to the 3rd round, although I am still waiting to trust Hugh Jackson on that one. And then he could get passed by a bunch of other guys, too. You just mentioned a bunch of good names that did not take a big step this year at all. At all.
Without question.
It's possible they could push him down the draft board. It's possible getting pushed down the draft board could be beneficial to him. He could be the next Bo Nix and end up with a Sean Payton somewhere down the road. That would be great for him. It also is helpful that he's going to get more than 20 college starts. That is the ding, ding, ding number. If you go look at quarterbacks that have been drafted in the first round who have fewer than 20 starts, it's not a pretty list, guys. It's just not. It doesn't mean that there can't be outliers. It doesn't mean that a guy can't break through. It just means that history shows us that's the number. And listen, there's been plenty of guys who have had more than 30 college starts and they stink. So it happens that way as well. But it doesn't surprise me that he went back with everything that you have talked about. And yes, it feels like the 2027 class is going to be great. But I just want to warn everybody that when in 2017 we said the same thing, like you could pass Patrick Mahomes. He just plays backyard ball down at Texas Tech. What the hell does he do? He doesn't even run a real offense in the NFL. We don't want any part of him. Deshaun Watson, he can't throw the ball down the field. Do we really want him? Because next year they got two guys in L.A. who are coming out, Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen. Well, Sam Darnold is now on his fifth team and has had to bounce around in order to find his path in the NFL. And Josh Rosen was traded after being a top 10 pick 1 year, and now he's out. Isn't he doing like real estate, or he's doing something in the financial world?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I guess my point is that we can talk as much as we want about the 2027 class and write down the 5 or 6 names that you like right now. A few of them aren't going to be on that list next year because there's going to be guys that pop. Joe Burrow, he was a 4th-round pick after his first year at LSU. Next year, he has the year he has, and he ends up being the number 1 pick.
Chris, thank you. Enjoy the playoff games and watch Chris on the NFL Network after Saturday and Sunday. Get everything you need to know about what happened in those games. Thanks, buddy.
All right, guys. Take care. Appreciate it.
Chris Rose joining us on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline. Chris just laid out the same thought. Roll with what you have at quarterback next year, Browns.